Hello students. In the last lecture, we discussed how exactly a ova and sperm will fuse and form a single cell called zygote, which is diploid, right? Now what happens? That zygote undergoes growth. Continuously it will grow. That initial stage of the growth of the zygote or that embryo, we are studying it under the heading early embryonic development. The stages of early embryonic development are, the initial stages of the development are, once zygote is formed, this zygote undergoes a process called cleavage, then it gets converted to morula, and the morula, a stage of the embryo, grow into blastocyst. Once blastocyst is formed, that means once zygote is developed into a blastocyst stage, this blastocyst undergoes the next step or the stage called what? Implantation. Implantation. After implantation, what is implantation? Attachment of the blastocyst to the wall of the uterus, womb-ನ ಒಳಗಡೆ attach ಆಗುವಂತದ್ದು. Okay, once implantation of the blastocyst is over, early embryonic development will complete. And one more thing, immediately after implantation, it also follows one more step called gastrulation. In this lecture, we discuss up to which one? Gastrulation. Now let us begin with the process. As we know already, a single cell called, what is that? The ova, imagine, which was haploid, fertilized by a haploid sperm, because of which a diploid, what is formed? Zygote is formed, okay? And this zygote which is formed is a diploid, and we even know that it is covered by what? A glycoprotein coat called zona pellucida, and even few cells of what could also be present, granulosa, can also be found around it. That is not that important. Anyhow, this single cell, I call it as zygote. Remember that the zygote is a totipotent cell. Okay, the zygote formed is a totipotent cell. What do you mean by totipotent? A cell which has the ability to divide into other cells of the body or a complete individual, right? This zygote will divide into all my different types of cells. Later, this zygote only develop into a complete individual. ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಲೈಫ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಏನು ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, I developed from a single cell called what? Zygote. That ability is called totipotency. Ability of a cell to give rise to all types of cell and even a complete individual is called totipotency. Now, this zygote, after 24 hours of fertilization on the 24 ಗಂಟೆ ನಂತರ, it starts with cleavage. What is cleavage? It is the mitotic division of the zygote. I repeat, it is the mitotic ಅಂದರೆ mitosis, not meiosis. Zygote undergoes continuous mitosis division. Okay, that mitotic division is called cleavage. It undergoes continuous mitotic division, and the cleavage will begin after 24 hours of fertilization. When first cleavage is over, the single cell zygote divide into, okay, 2n will divide into how many daughter cells? 2 daughter cells, and the daughter cells formed during cleavage are called blastomere. One mark question. What are blastomere? daughter cells formed during cleavage are called blastomere. When second cleavage is over, first cleavage adamele, this one will undergo second cleavage. Now what happens when second cleavage is over? Okay, the number of all cells are diploid. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಒಂದು mitosis. Okay, and how many blastomeres are formed? 4 daughter cells are formed when the second cleavage is over. When third cleavage is over, what happens? When third cleavage is over, the embryo is going to have how many? 8 blastomere. Okay, I'm going with a rough sketch. How many? 8 blastomeres are formed. When fourth cleavage is over, you know the answer. The number of blastomeres or the daughter cells formed are 16. How many are formed? 16 blastomeres are formed. When fifth cleavage is over, it becomes how much? 32 blastomeres are formed. I repeat, zygote undergoes continuous mitotic division called cleavage. During successive cleavage, number of daughter cells called blastomeres increase. During first cleavage 2 blastomere, second cleavage 4, 8, 16, it continues. Okay, one more question. What are blastomere? Daughter cells formed during cleavage are called blastomere. But the very important thing is, every time number of daughter cell increases but the size of the embryo remains same. ನನ್ನ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವೇರಿ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು. Otherwise, try to understand. If you compare the size of the zygote with the fourth cleavage, okay, both are same. Why both? Even though the number of cell increase, the size of the embryo throughout remains same. The reason is because the embryo is still covered by which one? Zona pellucida, which will not allow the embryo cells or the blastomeres to grow. That's why the human cleavage is called synchronous. Why human cleavage is called synchronous? During successive cleavage, number of daughter cell increase but size of the embryo remain same. Why? Because still the zona pellucida is intact. It will not allow the expansion or growth of the embryo. That is the answer. Okay, now when the embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere stage, I repeat, embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere stage is called what? Morula. What is that called? Morula. When you observe these two stages, it look like a mulberry fruit. That's why the name given morula. One more question. What is morula? Your answer is not mulberry fruit. What is your answer? Embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere stage is called morula, and this morula is formed 3 days after the fertilization. 3 days after the fertilization. Now what happens? This morula, when it entered to fifth cleavage, number of blastomeres will be 32. When it enters sixth cleavage, just for your reference, okay, sixth cleavage, the number of blastomere will be how much? 64. When the number of blastomere are 64, these 64 blastomeres undergo rearrangement and form a new structure called blastocyst. Please try to understand. Morula later again undergo cleavage and enters sixth cleavage complete ಆಗುವಾಗ 64 ಡಾಟರ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಈ 64 ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟೋಮಿಯರ್ ಏನು ಇದೆ, they undergo rearrangement and develop into a new structure called what? Blastocyst. How exactly the structure of blastocyst will be? The size is almost same. ಈ blastocyst ಆಗುವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ the size is same. ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಲಾಬೋರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸಮ್ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟೋಮಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪೆರಿಫೆರಿ. ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ rearrangement, some blastomeres get, okay, out of the 64, some arrange in the periphery, and these blastomeres are called trophoblast. What is that called? Trophoblast. Few blastomeres, I will just change the color, few blastomeres will be present inside as a mass of cell. The blastomeres which are present inside, okay, blastomeres which are present inside are called inner cell mass with a cavity formed inside. This cavity is called what? Blastocele. Seal andre enu? Cavity anta artha. This is the structure of what? Blastocyst. In other animals or mammals ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. In other animals or the mammals, the structure is called blastula ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ it look like a cyst shaped. That's why the name what? Blastocyst. When a complete blastocyst is formed, gradually the zona pellucida will gradually what happens? Disappear. Is that clear? During blastocyst formation, some cells arrange in the periphery which are called trophoblast. One mark question, what is their function? Answer is they help in implantation. Write down, trophoblast helps in which process? Implantation process. Okay, and one more neat point, note down separately. Trophoblast is also called trophoectoderm. What is it called? It is a appeared neat question. Trophoectoderm, another name. Whereas the cells present inside are called inner cell mass. One mark question, what is the function? It develop into embryo, right? ನಾನು ನೀವು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ? inner cell mass. As inner cell mass develop into embryo, need point, inner cell mass is also called embryoblast. Trophoblast and embryoblast or the inner cell mass. This inner cell mass has some special cells which are called stem cells. The cells of the inner cell mass are also called stem cells, which have the ability to develop into all kinds of tissues and organs. ಇವರು ಬಾಡಿಯ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಗನ್ಗಳಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಯುವ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. And the cavity is called blastocele. It is filled with a nutritive fluid. The fluid present inside, ಇದರ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದು ಖಾಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. This fluid nourish inner cell mass. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, the inner cell mass only later grow into what? Embryo. That's why. Is that clear? And one more neat point, try to note down this one. The cells of the trophoblast, tell me whether all trophoblast cells are in contact with inner cell mass? No. Trophoblast cells which are in contact with inner cell mass, those trophoblast cells are also called cells of Rauber. R-A-U-B-E-R. Neat point. What are cells of Rauber? Trophoblast cells which are in contact with inner cell mass are called cells of Rauber. During implantation, this entire blastocyst will attach to the wall of the uterus. Alva? ಯಾವ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್? ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಸೈಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರೌಬರ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಇನ್ನರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯಾವ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯೋ that side trophoblast undergo implantation. Remember this point. It will not attach from this first place. The attachment occurs through cells of the Rauber. Okay, this is how a blastocyst will develop. It is a 3-mark question, very important. After that, this blastocyst undergoes the next step called what? Implantation. Let me make the concept very simple. The implantation can be again asked for 2 or 3-mark question. The process of implantation will start by 7th day. Okay, will start by 7th day of the fertilization and it will complete by 9th to 10th day. Fertilization ಆದ 3rd day morula formation ಆಗಿದೆ. Okay, 7th day ಅನ್ನುವಾಗ blastocyst complete development ಆಗಿ ಯಾವ process begin ಆಗಿದೆ? It start with implantation. What is implantation? 1-mark question. Answer is the process of attachment of blastocyst to the wall of the uterus is called implantation. Look at here. This is ampulla where the zygote was formed. The zygote divide into 2 cell still covered by zona, which become 4 cell, which become 8 cell, which become 16 cell, and this 8 to 16 cell stage we call it as what? Morula. This morula gradually develop into what? Blastocyst, in which the cells present outside are called trophoblast. Cells present inside are called inner cell mass. The cavity called blastocele. Throughout this process of development, ಈ entire process ಆಗುವಾಗ, remember that this entire embryo will be swept toward the uterus. ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. When zygote converted to 2 blastomere, gradually ಅದು push ಕೂಡ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. The embryo is gradually moving toward which one? Uterus. Once the blastocyst reach uterus, what happens? Okay, just I will show here. As it come near the uterus, the outermost cells called what? Trophoblast. The trophoblast cells at the site of inner cell mass, okay, it produces some enzyme. Trophoblast cells release some enzyme. That enzyme dissolve a small region in the wall of the uterus. Enzymes of the trophoblast dissolve a small region in the wall of the uterus. I will draw here next step. Now in that small region which was dissolved, gradually the blastocyst will attach. In that hole, ಆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹೋಲ್ ಏನು ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಹೋಲಿನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಯಾರು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? The entire blastocyst will attach to the wall of the uterus, okay, by producing, along with that, by producing some finger-like structures called chorionic villi. What those finger-like structures called? Chorionic villi. Remember that this implanted site or the chorionic villi having site only, in my next class I will tell you, this region only develop into what? Placenta agi beliyuvantaddu. Okay, this is how implantation will be complete. Immediately after this, to hold this embryo properly, alwa, during her activity, ಆ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ತಾನು ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆಂಟ್ ಹೌದಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅವಳು ಯಾವುದೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾಳೆ, ಆಗ ಏನಾಗ್ಬೋದು? ಇದು ಡಿಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗುವ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ. To avoid that, immediately after implantation, the uterine tissue, nothing but endometrium. Which one? The endometrium start dividing, and the endometrium or uterine tissue divide and complete the cover the entire blastocyst. By this, implantation process will be over. I repeat this. It starts by 7th day, completes by 9th to 10th day. During this time, the enzymes released by the trophoblast dissolve a small region of the wall of the uterus. Into that small region, what will attach? Blastocyst will attach by producing some finger-like structures. Yake? For the attachment purpose. Finger-like structures called chorionic villi. Next line. Immediately after this, uterine tissue will divide and cover the entire uterus. Now the implantation is over. This lady is now said to be what? Pregnant. This is how the implantation, the early embryonic development will be complete. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass undergo next step called gastrulation. Very simple. What is gastrulation? The inner cell mass arrange into, I will write here, inner cell mass arrange into 3 germ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್. ಈ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಉಂಟಲ್ವಾ ಒಳಗಡೆ, ಇವರೇ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಲೇಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ? 3 ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. 3 ವಾಟ್? germ layers. What are they? Outermost germ layer called, you know that it is called ectoderm. Okay, middle layer called what? Mesoderm, and inner layer called what? Endoderm. So after implantation, the next step is gastrulation, in which the inner cell mass arrange into 3 germ layers. That's why we are diploblastic or triploblastic. Triploblastic. If you cut my body now, do you find 3 germ layers? No. It is seen immediately after implantation during the growth of the embryo. Now what happens? ಈ 3 layer formation ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Now what happens? As this embryo started growing, ಮಗು grow ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದ ಹಾಗೆ, right, some cells of the ectoderm layer grow into what? Nervous system. Some ectodermal cells develop into my brain, my spinal cord, my neurons, my retina, my lens are developed from ectoderm. Some cells of the mesoderm develop into muscular tissue. Some mesoderm develop into connective tissues of the body like areolar connective tissue, blood, bone, adipose connective tissue, tendon, ligament, and even the blood also developed from mesoderm. The endodermal cells developed into my lungs. Some epithelial cells of the body, some glands of the body will develop from endoderm. Dear students, what I am trying to tell you here is the 3 germ layers are found during the embryonic stage. Okay, later as the baby grows, the 3 germ layers only develop into different tissues and organs of the body. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರತಿ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಈ 3 germ ಇಂದ ಒರಿಜಿನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೀಟ್. Is that clear? This is all about early embryonic development.